Introducing Learning to Love Complaints, Turning Feedback into Success, with Joey Little, Vice President of Social Strategy with MotoFuse LLC. Please give him a warm welcome.
Hi, I'm Joey Little, VP of Social Strategy. MotoFuse now as AutoAlert, and I'm here to talk about one of the main things that I think the dealerships are missing all day long. And the majority of dealerships, not only in the United States, but also in the UK and Canada, which is the online presence of a dealership, the footprint, the mark, as you may say, of the digital footprint of a dealership, and the majority of that being content created by users, so user-generated content. Today we're going to be talking about the complaints that you receive online through reviews, but only than that we're going to get into deeper about how we can turn those complaints into a positive thing, what you need to be doing, the bullet points that you're going to have to do to create a strategy at your dealership to really understand how much retention is important to a dealership and the cost factor of selling a car to a new lead compared to an existing or a customer that's bought from you before. So some examples of some reviews that are online, and this is kind of the path that we take to get down the online reputation, the digital footprint of a dealership, is the user-generated content when it comes to review process and reviews that your customers are leaving. 1 to 5. And I do kind of have a little thing when I raise my hand. It doesn't mean it's factual. It just means the data that I've looked at and the end result that I've come to. This is when I say this. So if I give you a stat or something, that's my own and my team looking into it. But I would say right now, don't worry about 1s and 5s. Or we do worry about 1s and 5s. It's those 2s and 3s and 4s that customers really tend to believe. Now, no consumer really gets in deep and believes a 5-star rating or a 1-star rating. Meaning that a 5-star, most consumers believe that's left by somebody who works at the place, somebody who's trying to improve their online presence, somebody who is related to somebody who owns the business or whatever. And a 1-star, a lot of people believe that that is an emotional response to something that they did not have go right. So if you do get 1-stars, they are very important, but they're not going to kill you. It's just how you react to them and what you do that makes your presence understandable. So here's a review, very kind of energized by emotion by a customer, but as you can see here, this is the entire review, not represented by the dealership. There's no response back from the dealership, which is a huge thing that we see. Over 97% of reviews that are left online, just in automotive alone, there's no response at all from the dealership. You see here's another one. This one even gets even further into the negativity of the reputation of the company, because it also is getting into the reputation of one of the sales reps or a salesman that works for the dealership. Still a lot of passion you can see on these 1-star reviews, et cetera. 1-star reviews, 2-star reviews being left all day long, not being responded to. You see these are not responded to at all. And of course this one, the last one, because it says, I hope this doesn't fall on deaf ears. I can guarantee you the research that was done into these review process and looking at these reviews, this review was left on deaf ears. So here's a response back from the owner or the owner of the dealership, not necessarily the owner, but it's how Google portrays it. But now you can see that passive-aggressive can be a strategy for dealerships when it comes to negative reviews or negative remarks online. This was not needed. There could be a little bit more to this than we are sorry you would not recommend us to anybody, but we don't know who you are, so we cannot try to solve the problem. Now, to change this up is becoming more of a person online instead of a passive-aggressive company that looks like they're irritated because you got a 1-star review. So what we're going to see is how to handle those better, how to get response better back from the consumer, how to get a consumer to even respond back to your response. And you'll see here, a great example is by making yourself a human, making your dealership a human. You can see this person was happy, but not extremely happy at the process it took in finance to the 4 hours it took them to buy the car, but they were happy about it. But the response back from the dealership, very appreciative of their business. Very glad to hear that so-and-so, they call them out by name. You can tell that this is not a canned response. In fact, it's got a real name. If you need anything, please, contact the person that works at the dealership, which is obviously the digital operations manager, with a nice email. What I'm seeing from this that's not that's missing is a phone number. We want to see a phone number, and if you have the opportunity to have a direct phone number that can go to the person that's handling your online reputation management, it's even better. So just leaving the phone number for the dealership usually goes to the receptionist, which is put on hold twice and then gets transferred, and then transferred another one where you end up on a voicemail, which can take a great response like this and turn it back into a disgruntled customer. We step into the second side of this. So we do have dealerships that are really trying hard and responding back to their negative reviews and even their positive reviews, the 3% that are doing it in the country. But we run into a little hiccup when it comes to English or correct grammar, and I'm nobody to judge anybody else's writing ability, but if you are going to go online and respond back to a customer, make sure that you do have your I's dotted and your T's crossed. I have a simple rule. There's the hand up against my own little rule that I wouldn't put anything on the web, a tweet, a review, anything, a response to a review, a Facebook post, an Instagram picture, that I would not put on a billboard in Times Square. So if you need to have second eyes on it, definitely get second eyes on it, especially if you spell and have grammar like myself. So this one we get into, we can tell third-party reviews or third-party reputation response, meaning that a dealership has hired a company, a vendor, to handle the reputation management, to respond back to their customers. And a lot of times, those really stick out, and they're really being kind of magnified in 2017 because they are canned responses. It's the same response you're going to see across the board for dealerships that are spending money to have somebody else reply to them as online. And in a really good way that you can see how they are detailed out is no mention of the customer's name, no mention of the what was purchased. This is pretty much a copy and paste from probably a Word doc that the third party is using, whoever's running this account. And you can tell at the very end too, it's not personable because it says please reach out to the, and it's the dealership name team at customercare@dealership.com. So we get into Amazon. And I like to bring up Amazon because I use Amazon quite a bit as a Prime member. 2 days shipping for free. But one thing that I have going against me that normal people don't have is that, as you can see, I have a bit of a weight problem. Huge applause, laughter. And so I have a trouble buying clothes on Amazon because I could wear a 3X in one brand, I could wear a 2X in another brand. If I'm buying from China, it's got to be a 6X. But I need reviews back from consumers just like me that have used the product and they're going to give their feedback. Now, if I see check marks like this or a 1-star or 2-star review, I'm not going to buy from you. Now imagine how many people are using it, and all of you that are Amazon and make a choice off of what the reviews determine what you're going to buy. Just imagine with a car dealership. Where I live in Kansas City, we have 28 Ford franchise dealerships in our area, probably within 30 miles of each other. They sell the exact same vehicle, especially new. They have a very similar inventory. So what do we have to look at that's going to really determine what of the 28 that I'm going to go to? Statistics say that a customer will start with 16 to 17 dealerships online looking for a vehicle, and then only visit 1 to 2 dealerships and actually making the choice of buying. So what is it that happens from the 16 to 17 that they have, or in my case 28 Ford dealerships, to going down to just visiting 1 to 2 dealerships? And I believe a lot of that is consumer awareness or consumer connection and how they are portrayed online. We understand when we get into the review sites of what is the 800-pound gorilla in the room, what is your billboard online when it comes to people doing research on you, or not even doing the research anymore, the research is finding them. So when they're deciding where to buy, what to buy, and who to buy from, they're looking very specifically to, I believe, Google. Google is your billboard to your dealership, and what Google is doing now with their local businesses is they have been for the whole time, is that reviews are populating on Google. And if your dealership is anything like the majority of dealerships out there, when you look at your traffic to your website, your number one lead source is going to be Google, if it's not direct. And the number one way that people are finding you on Google is actually by Googling the name of your dealership. So all that money you spend on radio, all that money you spend on TV, on print, and billboards, it doesn't matter how many times you say GaryCrosleyFord.com in your commercial, as I know, people are going to go to Google and type in Gary Crosley Ford to get to your dealership. In fact, a lot of the millennials on on our marketing team will know BuzzFeed.com, but they go to Google and type in BuzzFeed.com and then take the first search and click on that. No more in the browser type stuff. So they're looking at Google. Twitter for a younger generation is more of, and that's where my mom kind of goes sometimes, or my father, excuse me, and gripe about the customer service they get places. It's instantaneously them able to air their grievances on whatever it is, especially with restaurants. Bigger ticket items like buying homes and cars a little bit different, but I have TripAdvisor. And TripAdvisor reminds me every single time that I go out to dinner and they say, hey, this place is on TripAdvisor, do you want to leave a review? And I don't. I just don't. Unless I have an extraordinary experience or it's a below average experience, I really don't get there. I've really tried in the past, and we'll talk about Yelp here in a bit, where I did actually leave 100 reviews at 100 different restaurants and results from that. But I'm more of an instantaneous type consumer. If I'm happy, if they brought me bread and it was the most amazing bread that I've ever had in my entire life, I will tweet out and I'll try to find them on Twitter the 60 seconds it takes, and if it goes any further than that, then I'm done with the whole conversation. And that's funny because I'm 42 years old and that's how I think. And so if we start thinking how 20-somethings think and how early 30s think, and it's changing in this instantaneous satisfaction of getting your word of mouth out there is becoming unbelievable. And the nice analogy, here's another one of those. A nice analogy that I like to use when people get confused with the millennial generation, with the Gen Xers, I told you a little bit of weight problem, and the baby boomers, is that if you look at the analogy being French fries, my mom, who's 62 years old, when she was a teenager and she wanted to have some French fries, she would have to get out the baking dish. She'd have to set the oven to 350 degrees. She would have to pour the frozen French fries onto the platter, put it in the oven, and then wait another 40, 45 minutes for her to get French fries. Now the whole process taking a little bit over an hour. Fast forward to myself, being a teenager, if I wanted French fries, they invented that we had a little at-home products that were easier to use, or devices, which was a Fry Daddy. I could plug that sucker in, it'd be ready to go in about 10 minutes, dump my fries in, they're done in 5 minutes, and there's a 15-minute deal for me to get my fries. Now with millennials, and even the newest generation that's coming up, and they're now 20 years old, if they can't have it in a minute and a half and 2 minutes, it's not worth it to them. The majority, not all of them. So now we got microwavable sleeves and all that makes things so much easier and so much more efficient. So if you're wanting a customer to leave you a review, you can have that. But you also need to be looking at the instantaneous areas that customers are needing to get it out there as fast as they can. I know consumers that will tweet a business, and hopefully they're hoping the business will see it while they're there, and they'll proactively come over and say something, which has never happened, but that's what they help for. Oh, excuse me. So where are they going online when not only on their own, but where are dealers pushing them? I believe that these are and since this presentation has been put together, DealerRater and Cars.com have now merged into one. But in my own studies, Google is your 800-pound gorilla in the room. And we'll talk about Facebook because we'll dive into social media here in a second, because Facebook is becoming a powerhouse on review process, and there's a reason behind it. So here's an example of DealerRater, how it works, Cars.com. It's a 5-star review site. It is a place where you want to push your customers to leave you some reviews. It does show up when they do search your dealership online looking for reviews, or just doing a search for you in general. Google, number one. That's the number one place you need to push your customers, or hope that your customers will leave you a review, because when you do Google that dealership to get the information on whether the directions are there, or get to their website, or to call them, the billboard is there on the Google Your Business or Google Local Business, that your reviews are front and center, along with now Google opening it up so places like Facebook, DealerRater, et cetera, are also being represented on the first page search results for the dealership name. Now Facebook, my favorite subject, because Facebook is my personal CRM. This is what I use in my own personal life. You know this. You want to get a hold of me any way whatsoever. I'm 42, I said that. Facebook Messenger. I'm in love with the read receipts. I'm in love with the entire output from Facebook Messenger in my personal life, and I enjoy it. What has had me as a social marketer and digital marketer is the decline of, let's say, organic reach that Facebook pages have, meaning that when you log in with your username and password, that is your personal account. But if you create a page for a business or an organization, that is what we consider a Facebook page. And by the end of March 2017, I believe that it will go to a 0.5 to 0% organic reach, meaning that if you have a Facebook page, it doesn't matter how many fans you have on it or how much money you spent in the past to get fans, your organic reach, meaning that if you post something without any kind of monetary value behind it, you will reach approximately 0.5% of the people that like your page. So if you have 100 people like your page, you're going to reach a 12-year-old. That's about half a person, right? So, does this mean we have to stop posting to Facebook organically? It does not mean that. Facebook pages are still going to be very, very popular because consumers are now using the search bar inside of Facebook to not only look up people, but also to look up businesses. I'm starting to know some let's say 20-year-olds that Snapchat's their number one way of communication, but when they're Googling things, they're not Googling it, they're actually going to Facebook and they're looking it up there. When it comes to either local businesses or to beers, etc. So it is important to keep your Facebook page relevant, content relevant, up to date, looking fresh, because people are going to go there and they're going to see this. But I believe going forward, probably quarter 3, quarter 4 of 2017, that Facebook is going to make a huge run and give Yelp its run for its money when it comes as a review site. I believe that Facebook is developing a business plan now because you are seeing the abundance of reviews that are going on to Facebook from users. But what they have that Yelp does not have is the user's reach. Meaning that if I post something on Yelp, the only people that are going to see my review on Yelp are those going to Yelp to look up that restaurant or whatever it is to get review process. When I post something to Facebook, I just did it the other day at a restaurant in New Orleans, here in New Orleans, and gave it 4 stars and had a great time. I had users that saw my post that are friends of mine because it goes through my news feed. Joey Little was at ABC Cafe, or we'll just call it Mother's. Yeah, we'll do Mother's right over here in the corner. In fact, if it was Mother's, it's a 5-star review. And I had people proactively coming out, liking it, saying they were jealous that I was there. I never once asked them to look at my review. They never had to go anywhere, just showed to them. And I think that is going to be the giant killer when it comes to Facebook and Yelp going face to face. Nobody taking Google down, but I do Facebook is going to take a huge chunk from Yelp once they get this understood and they start promoting the review side of the pages. So if you have a page, definitely keep it going. Because your reviews are going to be important. And to drive customers there, it's not about where you drive them, it's where a customer has to do the least amount of clicks to leave you some feedback. So talking about Yelp, let's talk about Yelp right now. In no way whatsoever am I endorsed or paid or anything by Google, Facebook, Twitter. In fact, I pay them money. So this is not about that. In no way whatsoever have I had a grievance towards Yelp. My grievance comes from those that are using Yelp and those businesses out there that are on Yelp. I will tell you, Yelp will come up again when it talks about a little test that I did in 2016, where I reviewed 100 restaurants on Yelp, left them all remarks, and then we talked about how much feedback did I get back. But first we'll talk about Yelp and why dealerships don't like Yelp. First of all, if you're in California, southern part, or in the tip of Florida, Yelp is a part of your life. If you are anywhere else in the country, you can kind of avoid Yelp, like my ex-girlfriend. And it's easy. Why do dealerships and businesses not like Yelp? Well, they're known for being wary of first-time reviewers. If you're a first-time reviewer, your review does not really show up, and we'll show you where it goes. Number 2, they're known for filtering comments. A lot of times the positive ones. Why that happens? Algorithms, this is what they say. Who knows? They seem to favor paid advertising. Well, that makes sense. You're going to pay money, you're probably going to get it front and center. And it's hard to distinguish from real reviews. Now that one's kind of changed since this went out. Yelp's come out and said that they've got a better algorithm on detailing it. But here is the problem that Yelp has, and this is the problem, that dealerships have with Yelp. This is a very, very average page. This is for a car dealership in my hometown of Kansas City. As you can see, if you notice, there's 5 or 9 reviews, and I'll zoom in on this, but this is saying there's 9 reviews for this dealership in Kansas City, when actually there are 84 Reviews, so 73 reviews altogether for this car dealership, but front page, you see only 9. Why is that? Because Yelp has decided to hide the other 84. And that is due to them saying this is a first-time responder or maybe a fake user. What the dealers believe is that Yelp is just wanting money. You pay money, then your reviews come out. So this is why it's hated by most dealerships. They've used very negative terms for Yelp. But the problem is if you are in California, you are in Florida, you've got to deal with Yelp. I can only say is you got to pay to play with Yelp sometimes. So getting back into the opportunities of your dealership when it comes to negative reviews and positive reviews. What we're looking at is consumer feedback, being a person, and doing exactly what you have to do to make somebody believe that you are a person, because you are, is one, if you are a person online and you respond back to your reviews and you get the customer grievances front and center, you can protect your CSI scores. You can usually correct a lot of problems before CSI goes out, the Customer Satisfaction Index from the OEM. That's if you get in front with of these reviews and respond. You can also get in front of word of mouth feedback. So we all know that social media is a word of mouth on steroids. So what we've noticed is that a customer, if they are very digitally inclined, they will go to a review site first, post a review there, and then usually share that to their Facebook, Twitter, etc. So if you have an opportunity in that very short space once they've posted that review, because it does take sometimes the review to populate, if you're able to get in front of that, you can stop a mess on Facebook, etc., etc. And you have the opportunity to make things right. You absolutely have the opportunity to make things right, and unfortunately, 97 to 98% of dealerships are not doing that, the opportunity to make things right. So how can you benefit, and how can you do it? Well, the rules engagement come down to this. You got to respond quickly. You've got to have something that's going to alert you at least every 24 hours. You've got new reviews, new things that are online that are about you, positive, negative, and learn to respond to those positive and negative reviews. Learn how to put a real phone number in there that's going to ring to somebody's desk, a real name, along with an email address. Noting what they're saying in their review. If they're mad because they think they got high gross because they saw their used car that they sold back to you, it's for $12,000 and you gave them $8,000. You've got to get into that. You've got to make them believe that this is a real person talking to them and not some kind of robot. 3, keep them brief. Answer like a person, not like a corporation. Best part is to get them offline, to see if you can get a conversation that's going to go offline. Call the dealership. You're able to look in your CRM. I don't know very many dealerships that when they do get a negative or positive review online, if it's on Google, there's usually a first and last name that are there. You can take that information, put it into your CRM, see who that customer is, watch the customer journey, see the phone numbers, the phone calls, the emails, whatever went out, and you can see exactly how this customer went through the customer journey with your dealership. And usually have some insight, know who the salesperson is, et cetera, et cetera. Thank them. Don't see a lot of thank yous, even if it's negative. You got to remember that if a person does give you a negative response online, they are venting, but at the same time, if they didn't care, they wouldn't say anything. So they do care, or they're just an attention hound like myself. Number 5, let them know that you understand. Putting yourself in a peer situation. Think about it if it's your mom. How would you respond back to your mom if she was very upset with you, if it was your business? Offer solutions, give solutions. Just giving away a free oil change doesn't fix the problem, but offer solutions to what you do. Give them a way to contact you. We talked about it earlier, a real good phone number that goes to somebody's desk and not to the receptionist. Gives a little attention to new customers. You can get the attention of new customers by the way that you handle your online reputation with your existing customers and the grievance customers. Because when I do Google your dealership to look up more information on buying a Ford from you and you're with 28 of it, I'm going to see your reviews. And if they're not responded to, younger generations, even baby boomers, are really getting keen to this, and they're not buying from you. So the response does matter. Everybody does see them. So here's the best practices for online review sites. Very simple. The first one is the hardest one to do, and if you're using a third-party vendor, it's even more difficult, and they may charge you more money, but it's simple for you on your end to do, is claim your sites. Claim your Google page. Make sure that your Facebook page is under your control and you're an admin for it. Make sure that you know all the emails are updated on your DealerRater, Cars.com, Edmunds, et cetera, so when something does get posted, it's going to come back to you and you're going to be notified about it. Proactive communication. Make sure you act quick. Make sure you act precise. If you have a strategy of how you're going to respond back to dealers, how you're going to respond. We do our own reputation management, and our customers are dealers, and how we respond to them on LinkedIn. We have a plan of attack, so I'm glad I said that. a plan of attack or a strategy of what we're going to say, not passive aggressive. We are agreeable. We usually know that it's our fault, even though it can be a user error, but we will take all of the grievances that we can. And we make it easy by using KISS, which is keep it simple, silly. Can be other ones too, but keep it simple, silly. Don't get too far into it. Get alerted. Redirect your negativity offline. So if there is a very, very angry customer, try to get them on the phone or offline. And then finally, the share button. So if you do have positive stuff and you're looking for content to put online, share it. And make sure that your employees have it as well, because your employees' social reach is 10 times greater than your dealerships. And as of March, it's going to be 25 times greater than your brand alone. So when you do have positive things that are coming from your dealership online or coming from customers and consumer-generated content, make sure that that gets out to your dealers. There's nothing more than your service department would like to know when they get new great reviews that are online. Keep the negatives away from them, handle those. But yeah, 10 times greater online right now, but 25 coming up in March. Your employees can connect you with more potential customers than your advertising right now, your radio, TV, print advertising right now, because it is a trusted source and they are going to do business. And a lot of times people just don't realize where your employees work. A lot of your employees are embarrassed of your actions online, that you respond to negative reviews angrily, and they're disengaged, so they don't like to let people know where they work at. And then they get mad because their aunt buys a car from their other cousin that works down the street. So keep your eyes open. And your employees will keep their eyes open. So a good engaged employee will also look online and look for those type of things that may damage your reputation of your dealership. So remember that your consumers are sharing, interacting, and influencing others. It's very, very important to understand the power of social, the power of user-generated content websites like Google reviews, Yelp, even influence. Very, very important. So to have those under control is a very, very strong thing that you have. So when you increase that dealership's presence on these platforms, take care of your negative review process, take care of your positive review process, sharing it with your employees, creating a good digital footprint, then you're going to gain shoppers with your trust and with your responses. So I'm Joey Little. I was the VP of social strategy. Now I run digital for AutoAlert, all the same company. So thank you very much.